The Celts were so brutal that even the Romans feared them, and what they did in battle will blow your mind. Picture this. You're invited to a Celtic chieftain's home for dinner. Sounds nice, right? Wrong. They aren't pretty paintings or fancy rugs. They're heads, human heads, severed enemies nailed to doorposts, dangling from rafters, the ultimate trophy of power. The most prized heads were preserved in expensive cedar oil and kept in chests for special occasions. Warriors rode with heads tied to saddles, skulls at shrines, offerings cast into holy pools. Archaeologists still find them in ancient lakes and bogs. The Celts believed the soul lived in the head. Capture the head, capture the spirit. But wait, it gets crazier. They turned terror into a weapon before the first sword was swung. You might think of empires as neat machines, like the Romans with straight roads and a single emperor. The Celts? Not like that at all. For centuries around 500 BC, Celtic tribes dominated Europe. Ireland, Scotland, France, Spain, Germany, Eastern Europe, even Turkey. They were everywhere. Here's the crazy part. No capital, no single king, no unified government. Think massive patchwork, hundreds of tribes, Gauls in France, Celtiberians in Spain, Britons in Britain, Galatians in Turkey. They spoke similar languages, worshipped similar gods, and loved wild art and even wilder warfare. Travel 1,000 miles, and people still got your customs. But they were fiercely independent. Each tribe had its own leader, territory, and grudges. Trade one day, bashing heads the next. Their spread and decentralization made them tough to conquer. Defeat one tribe and another popped up behind you. Like a puddle you can't stamp out. You couldn't march to a capital, win one battle, and declare victory. With the Celts, the fight never ended. But when a truly organized enemy arrived, unity failed. Some fought Rome, some traded, some fought other Celts. They could never form one massive army to push invaders out. Picked off tribe by tribe until the unseen empire crumbled. And yet, their warriors were the stuff of Roman nightmares. If you saw a Celtic army charging toward you, you'd think you were in a nightmare. Roman riders were terrified, and with good reason. Some warriors, the Gaisatae, fought naked, nothing but a golden neck torque and a wild look in their eyes. They believed bravery and the gods were all the armor they needed, a shocking display to unnerved, disciplined foes. Then the noise. Thousands screamed and howled, banging swords on shields, a deafening rhythm of destruction. And those twisted war trumpets, the Carnix, let out a discordant blast like the world ending. Win the battle in the mind before blades even cross. That was the point. One Celt mastered terror, Boudicca, queen of the Iceni. After Romans flogged her and attacked her daughters, she unleashed fury in 60 AD. She rallied a massive army of Britons and went on a rampage. They torched Roman cities, Colchester, London, St. Albans, slaughtering tens of thousands. A brutal message. Celts would not be broken. Ultimately, the legions crushed the revolt, but the raw power of Celtic fury was undeniable. Celtic tactics weren't about neat lines. They were about passion, ferocity, individual heroism. A warrior wanted legendary deeds sung for generations. They didn't win every war, but nobody forgot the day they faced the Celtic charge. Off the battlefield, their culture gets even stranger. At the top weren't kings or warriors, but druids, puppet masters of Celtic society, priests, judges, teachers, scientists, all rolled into one. They memorized poems, laws, histories, sacred knowledge they refused to write down. Disobey a druid, and you could be cut off from society and religion. A druid's word was law. Romans were shocked, especially by human sacrifice. Julius Caesar described the Wicker Man, a giant figure woven from branches, allegedly filled with criminals, sometimes innocents, then set ablaze to please the gods. Other rites, divination by death throes, drownings in sacred bogs. Viewer discretion. They weren't just doom and gloom. They were master craftsmen, especially in metalwork. Their skill was centuries ahead. Latin art flowed like water and tangled like a spider's web. Magnificent golden torques, the Battersea shield, exquisitely crafted swords. Across Celtic lands, from Carnac to Stonehenge, mysterious stone circles and standing stones. Druids used these outdoor temples, aligned with the heavens, astronomical calendars, places of healing, gateways to the otherworld. They left no writings, only silent stones. A mind-bending mix of brutal sacrifice, supreme intellect, and artistic genius we're still trying to grasp. For centuries, the Celtic way dominated Europe. Then came the Romans, and they ruined everyone's party. Julius Caesar's conquest of Gaul in the 50s BC was a turning point, a brutal, systematic campaign of death and enslavement. Rome identified the Druids as the glue, law, religion, identity, and hunted them down. On Anglesey, legions stormed the sacred island, cutting down Druids and destroying holy groves. Rome built towns, roads, villas, brought Latin, laws, and gods. Over time, many Celts adopted Roman ways. Romano-British, Gallo-Roman. Traditions survived but were watered down, the wild spirit tamed. Yet the Celts were survivors, pushed to the edges Rome couldn't fully tame. Scotland's Highlands, the coasts of Wales, storm-battered Cornwall, and Ireland, Hibernia, never invaded, became strongholds. In these fringes, Celtic languages, laws, and traditions lived on, waiting to re-emerge. You might think the Celts belong in dusty books, but their legacy is everywhere. The Celtic knot, no beginning, no end, a piece of ancient magic people still wear today. The Celtic cross, a symbol that spread worldwide. Their myths shaped modern fantasy. Even Halloween evolved from Samhain. Their languages are still spoken in Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Celtic symbols are everywhere, an empire of the imagination. Subscribe if you want more ancient civilizations that were even crazier than this.